Well, good afternoon, everyone. Everyone here in the audience and in Zoom land. You know, I've worked here for 19 years. I've never been in this particular room. Those of you who are not in here, we're in 231 in OAB. What a nice room this is. Fabulous. And thanks for being here on Friday at 2:30, the last session of the day. Lucky us. So we're drinking our coffee and getting motivated and having some energy. So we're going to discuss and share with you about, well, the topic is adult education, supportive transitioning of the adult learner to Fresno City College. And I am, oops.
Oh, just close that out.
My name is Lisa Vincent. I'm the coordinator of our adult education program here on campus. And many of you don't know what that is, and that's why you're here. We're small but mighty. And also with us today is Eric Marin, and he's one of our counselors, and he's going to be tag teaming with me on this presentation. So before I begin, hopefully this works, I want to share with you a 2-minute news interview that we did for Channel 30 about a month ago, and it will tell you a little bit about what we are, not everything, but it'll give you a little bit of a synopsis. So we're going to start with that. And if those of you in Zoom land can't hear this, just put in the chat. We'll try to fix it.
Thank you, Officer Peruch. Fresno City College is helping students succeed by giving them extra support. The Adult Education Program works with students to finish their education and achieve their career goals. Action News anchor Jessica Harrington takes a look at the program and the recent state recognition it received.
This is the best time in my academic career.
Fresno City College student Brandon Marroquin has recently kickstarted his career into information technology. He's currently working at the State Center Community College District through the Student Work Program.
I do help desk, I do cybersecurity, I repair computers.
But he's come a long way to get here. Marroquin says he struggled in high school due to ADHD and speech apraxia, so he dropped out. In 2021, he decided to go back and get his GED. He graduated this spring and started classes at Fresno City College this fall with the help of the Adult Education Program.
So I'm really grateful for these programs here.
Lisa Vincent is the Adult Education Program Coordinator at FCC. It offers classes, resources, and support for students who have never completed high school, have attended or are currently attending an adult school, and those interested in English as second language classes. Vincent and her staff are there to help see those students through the process.
We're outreaching, we're onboarding, we're transitioning those students into community college and career pathways.
Those students work with a designated adult education counselor like Eric Marin. He leads students step by step through the resources, application process, and any other help they need.
They might have left school for a number of reasons, and we just don't want confidence or lack of support to be a reason that they don't come back and are not successful.
The hard work happening in their program isn't going unnoticed. It was recently named as a model adult ed program in the state. And last month, Vincent and her team were recognized at the California Adult Education Program Summit.
The fact that we're being noticed for our efforts is important, because I'm telling you, we put in the work here. We do.
You can find more information about the resources offered through the Adult Education Program at Fresno City College by logging on to our website, abc30.com. In Central Fresno, Jessica Harrington, ABC 30 Action News.
All right, so there you go. I guess that's in a nutshell who we are, and we can actually end now. We've got more to add. You can tell I'm Italian. I talk with my hands on there. You notice that I do that, so I probably will do it today too. So that gave you a little bit of a snippet of what we do. We do so much more, but we were honored at the California Adult Education Program conference last October, which is a big deal. There are many adult ed programs at different community colleges and adult schools around California, and we were recognized, and that was nice event. So, okay, so here's our agenda. We probably will not go till 3:45, but we want to talk in general about adult ed and the regional concept, a little bit of background. Our programs, which mostly focus on adult schools and community partners, our high school equivalency course that we offer in the community, Adult Ed Dual Enrollment, our non-credit programs and what that means versus 4-credit pathways that we offer, EMLS non-credit courses that we offer, and our pathway program specifically at Fresno Adult School, and wrapping it up with questions, referral process, contact info, etc. So now what are our goals? Basically, this is what I get all the time. Well, Lisa, aren't all students at Fresno City College adult students, right? They are, and there are folks who just walk off the street and they come to us and they do well. But we really target those at our local 15 adult schools and community agencies to go out where those folks are to assist them in transitioning. These are mostly folks that perhaps in the past, and Eric will speak more to this from a counseling viewpoint, but maybe had a negative experience with education. Maybe they don't have their high school diploma. Maybe they do, and they don't know exactly how to access education. They're struggling with life situations, social emotional issues, language barriers, etc. So we really target those folks. And so we have this comprehensive program that assists them, and we offer so many things to do that. We do general transition, which, as you would know, if you think of RTG in the high schools, where we have high school seniors go through the application, orientation, advising, and registration to get here, we do that for the local adult schools and in the community. But we also provide these onboarding programs that assist students in starting their pathway here. Give you a little bit of an idea, which I'll talk about more specifics in a minute, but here's a little bit of a background. We are funded through the State Center Adult Education Consortium. It's not State Center Community College District, but it is a region in California where I mentioned Cape earlier. We're funded through the state of California, and it goes through all these different regions that are set up in California where there are adult ed programs. There are hundreds and hundreds of adult schools and community colleges, as we know, 116 community colleges now. And it is a way for us all to transition students from adult schools and other agencies to education, to community college. So we're funded through this funding, and we don't need to go into lots of logistics, but it's a bigger thing. We're getting this money. We're one of many regions in the state who have to adhere to certain goals in terms of transitioning students. So we're part of a bigger family. And in this area, we are in the Central California region. And the way we separate in our State Center Community College District campuses is in this manner. So it's almost, if you're familiar with our Rich to Go program, where there are feeder high schools, we have feeder adult schools. So you'll see in our sub-region here, we have the central sub-region, which includes Carruthers Adult School, Central Adult School, folks in corrections, Fresno Adult School, and Washington Union. Fresno Adult School and Central are larger. But then you'll see Clovis Community Services, Clovis Adult School, and Madera services these other adult schools, and Reedley services these other adult schools. So we really focus on those in our sub-region, but that doesn't mean we don't serve all of them. So when I say focus, you'll hear, I'm going to talk about some specifics, and Eric will talk about having office hours at the adult schools, et cetera. So again, you don't need to know all this minutia, but I wanted to give you an idea that it's part of a larger picture that we we have to adhere to certain goals. We have to report on data. We're getting funding. And it's really a commitment from the state of California to serve adult learners in a more specific way, a way that assists them in transitioning. If you didn't know, our department is through library and student success. And that we're not in student services or counseling, although we have counselors. But we have our adult education department. I happen to be the coordinator. Our dean is Dr. Donna Cooper. And I coordinate the process. We have 3 counselors. We have 3 counselors just for the folks that we serve in the adult schools in our community agencies. Because what we have found is those students need that one-on-one attention. They need those mentors rather than just walking blindly onto the campus and going, where do I go? Okay. We have gazillion counselors here and special programs, and not all of them know a lot about, adult schools and what we do there. So Crystal Lee, Roxy Markarian, and Eric Marin, who you're going to hear from, they service those students specifically. Okay. So if somebody's coming from an adult school or one of our community agencies that we service, they see Eric or Crystal or Roxy. They don't come on campus and see a general counselor. We're the transition folks. Okay. And all their contact numbers on the sheet. I have handouts for those of you who are here. But just to let you know, we have a dedicated staff, right? Okay. What are some of the things that we do? General transition services. So we'll meet with students. And by the way, when we say we are rarely here on campus. We have offices. We are rarely here on campus. We are at the adult schools. We are at our community partners. We go to them. The counselors meet with those students individually or in application workshops, or orientation workshops, or career fairs, or what have you on those sites. So here are some of the things that we do other than general transition services. And this is really built around some things that we found out. Number one is many of those students at the adult school, they're there getting their high school diploma or equivalency, which what a lot of folks know of as the GED. Okay, there's also something called the high set. It's similar. So they're wanting their high school diploma. They usually go to the adult school and do that. But guess what? We offer a high school equivalency course here on campus. And I'm going to talk about that too. So the first thing we want these folks to do is get their high school diploma. But then what we have found is a lot of these folks they don't have the basic skills to be successful. So we focus on English language learning, right? So we provide non-credit EMLS courses at the adult schools in the community. So we help onboard those students in those courses. A lot of these students lack digital literacy skills. They've never been on campus. I mean, they might know how to, click on an app on their phone, but they don't know how to use a portal. They don't know basic Excel. Some of them don't even have emails. Seriously. So we offer non-credit courses in our business technology department on basic computer skills. The other thing that a lot of these folks, and there's a typo on here, down here, is we have offered in the past counseling 350, which is like counseling 53. It's the student success course. A lot of these folks don't know how to do college. And then we also offer some other types of 4-credit pathway courses, which all of these things I have up here, I just want you to eyeball this, right? And then we'll talk about some of them. We have email courses up here in the top. We have EML courses. EMLS courses in all of these agencies, et cetera. And in the past, we've had them at more. This is just current. We have a high school diploma preparatory course, which is Language Arts 360 to prepare students to pass the high school equivalency exam through the state of California here at Fresno City College. So if you ever get the phone call and somebody says, do you offer a high school diploma program or GED or program at Fresno City? We do. We do. Okay. We also offer it at other agencies. You see those on there. We offer the BT course, Computers in the Workplace, which is basic digital literacy skills at various sites in the community. And we also have some 4-credit pathway courses. So giving you an idea of all that we do, this is not actually all that we do. There's been other sites we've done in the past and outreach too. We want to onboard these folks through these courses, through a high school diploma program, through working with the college, the counselors, et cetera. So any questions so far? So let's get into some specifics. So I mentioned the HISEC, high school equivalency program. I said high school equivalency education, something. What a lot of folks know is the GED, okay? They're equivalent. So we offer the course here and in the community. It's taught by our instructors. They're Fresno City College instructors. These are Fresno City College students, but they're getting they're getting the information and the tutoring and the instruction to pass the high school equivalency exam with the state of California. They get all the perks of being a student at Fresno City. They have a student ID. But guess what? Now we've got students who are ready to transition into our programs. These folks that don't even have a high school diploma. Now the counselors work with them if they want to go into the business pathway, or they want to go into applied tech, or they want to go into health careers. Now they've got their high school diploma. Now they can qualify for financial aid. By the way, this course is free. They just have to pay our minimal health fee.
There's a question.
Okay.
Mark.
I have a question.
Yes.
How old do you have to be to enter the program?
So we're an adult ed program, so that would mean over 18 years old. We're not a high school program.
I understand. I just want to know if it was like 18, 20,
18 or over.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh. So we have this here. Now, students can go to the adult schools and do this as well if they want. And guess what? We're at the adult schools all the time transitioning those folks too. But they do have an option of taking it with us because they get all the perks of being a student. Okay?
Can I add something?
Yeah.
to that? All right, so hi, everybody. I'm Aaron Pony, one of the counselors. So something I just wanted to add about that, and Lisa just mentioned that the adult school does offer this too. And every now and then we do get a question from a student who says, well, should I take it at City or should I take it at the adult school? And we tell them, really, it's up to you. What's the best fit for you? It could be that the in-person class at the adult school, their schedule doesn't fit with their schedule. So then they come and take it with us. Or maybe one of the students that we have, their work schedule changes and they can't do it with us. So then maybe they go to an adult school instead and go take it. We've really worked towards building a very collaborative relationship with our adult schools. So nobody feels like, oh, you're stealing our students or you're taking away potential graduates of ours. We see it as we're just trying to help these students. So some of these students also have the option, not some of these students. Students have the option to take this course online or in person. So the in-person class, they come to campus twice a week. They check in with the instructor because everybody's working on individual goals. If me and Lisa are in the same group of students doing the HISET, I could already be done with math, but maybe she's just starting and now she's going to be on math. So we're all doing our work at our own paces and working in our own subjects. But I think we all kind of know that experience of if you don't have time dedicated to do it, you're probably not going to do the task that you're supposed to do. So for some of these students who are transitioning back into being a student, being able to go to a classroom Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 3 o'clock forces them to put attention towards the work, because they can still do their high set coursework at home, but this allows them to come in, check with their teacher, talk to classmates, and just really make sure they're getting into that routine of putting in time for their work. And some of them may decide after one semester of in-person, you know what, I think next semester I want to do it online instead, once they've gotten into that routine. So it can be very flexible depending on the needs of the student. And then even our online instructor, she ends up meeting with students at set times just to be able to check in. So if her standard meeting time doesn't work, then they'll just meet at a individualized appointment time with the student so that they're getting the support that they need. So just wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now you know, we don't have high school diploma, we have high school equivalency, okay, which for adults, a lot of adult learners, that is, it basically meets their needs a little more because it's set up a little different. It's not for credit, it's they pass certain subsections. So we've got that through our department, but we also offer it, or if you notice, we offer that at the Fresno Mission. We're going to be offering it at EOC. So we offer it in the community as well.
Lisa, there's no.
Yeah. Yes. Louisa?
One of my questions is, I think what you guys are doing is fabulous. I have quite a few of my students have come through your program, but my question is, do you also address how to time management for them? Because a lot of them are still working parents trying to get their education. A lot of my students, I find, have issues with time management. And is that a topic that's addressed with your students?
It's and Eric can speak to this individually when they speak with students, but we also have offered, like, for example, we offered at Fresno Adult School one semester, last semester or summer, and we're offering it again coming up. We're trying to embed it in our programs as a counseling 350. It's a non-credit one unit course, equivalent course. That is the same as what you would know of as our Counseling 53, which is college success. So in that particular class, they go over time management, they go over study skills, they go over how to use the library, how to, what do you do to get a parking pass? How do you study for tests? All of those things that help make a student successful. We're trying, and our goal is to embed that into many of our programs so they can take that class along with their EMLS class or along with their computer literacy class. And when they do that, they get a certificate, college transition success certificate. So I hear you. And the way we're doing that is we absolutely know that these students don't have these skills. The only way they can go through those courses is through, if they're like, when we do our outreach, we're at the adult schools, we're at our community agencies. Now the student just randomly walking off the street, if they don't come through our office, they don't have contact with us. They may go through general counseling. And so that's out of our hands. So we can't be responsible for every person who is over 18 who comes to this campus unless they come through our particular onboarding transition services. So, but I hear you. We found out these students are not prepared because number one, they need the English language skills. Number two, they need computer or digital literacy skills. And number three, they need to know how to do college. And so I hear you on that. And so we're doing our best to address those through our program. Okay, yes, so for
the other issue I see with them is they have poor math skills as well, which is needed because I teach in the allied health programs, and a lot of them want to do something in medicine, and there's medical math that they have to do, and they have basic issues with just basic math. So,
Yeah, I
but
hear
I
you,
really
yeah.
appreciate what you all are doing because it is effective. And my students who have gone through your program do mention, that they do appreciate what you do for them. So
good.
thank you.
And so a side note is last semester, we offered medical math at Fresno Adult School as a pathway program. And we're offering some other things coming up too to prepare them. Okay, so for the sake of time, let's go on. The other thing for you all to know is if there's something, y'all heard of high school in dual enrollment, right? Which is huge. And, but there's something called adult dual enrollment. Senate Bill 554, which was passed, I don't know, maybe about 5 years ago. Students who are at the adult schools who are enrolled in a high school diploma or equivalency course can take courses concurrently at Fresno City College or any of our classes, wherever we offer them, for free up to 11 units. So the student at the adult schools who are in equivalency high school equivalency or high school diploma program can get ahead towards their college certificate or degree. So this is a big deal because financial aid, as we know, can be a barrier for students. So we work with students at the adult schools, if they're in the GED or high set or high school diploma, to start taking classes with us. And it's free other than just the health fee. So that's another way we're trying to assist these students in acclimating to the community college system and getting a step back. There's something called Adult Ed Dual Enrollment, just like there's high school dual enrollment. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about non-credit options and EMLS. I'm going to turn it over to Eric just so I take a break. I might chime in maybe or not. So we're going to continue with some other things and touch on some things that maybe I already addressed. Eric?
All right. So before I forget, for everybody that's here in person, please make sure you get some desserts over there on the dessert wall.
Oh,
I'm just kidding, everybody. There's no desserts here. So what we have on the screen right now are 2 certificates that we actually ended up creating. A lot of these students that are taking these non-credit classes, when a class is non-credit, that also means that it's not degree applicable. So these courses, they are building up a lot of skills. They are getting to practice. They are becoming a student. They're learning the routines. However, if you're looking at a major sheet and saying, oh, is this going to help me with my major in business or in English? They're not, because they're non-credit courses. So what we ended up creating, because some of these students won't move on and continue to get degrees for various reasons, but we ended up creating these 2 certificates that help these individuals build up some skills that could help them already become more employable. If they are planning on transitioning to becoming students here at the college, it will be beneficial for them. So you see the first one, Essential Skills for College and Career Success. That first class, BT 377, is the workplace technology class. So they're building on those technology skills that are going to be applicable to being a student, learning email, learning all the different programs that they'll be using, at least becoming familiarized with them. By no means they're going to be an expert at them, but they will at least become familiar with them. And then the Counseling 350, Lisa's touched on it a few times, but it's really like an intro to college class. Going over just, classroom strategies, interactions. She mentioned right now, time management, study skills, just really, when I've taught the class, I teach it as kind of with the mentality of what do I wish somebody had told me when I was starting college. And then we have another one that's pretty similar, except that it integrates an ESL class. So if you ever see VESL, that means vocational ESL. So these are classes that are going to be focused on certain content areas. So in the past, we've tried to do partnerships with like Fresno Workforce Connection, where they are working with students who are maybe going to go through construction. And so the class that they do will have a focus on construction-related vocabulary in the class so that it's more applicable to what it is that they're working towards. So these are 2 certificates that are available for students to get. And again, these classes are all non-credit. So that means they do not charge them tuition regardless of their residency status here in the state. So as I mentioned that, I just want to point out a few things of why so much of what we do is offered non-credit. When a class is for credit, typically a student will pay $46 per unit if they are a California resident. So just making an example, you have Thomas, who attends Fresno High, born and raised here in Fresno, went through all of Fresno Unified, graduates high school and starts here at Fresno City College. They're considered a California resident. They attended here at least 3 years between kindergarten to 12th grade. So they get that $46 per unit tuition price. A lot of our students, especially in our EMLS classes, are immigrants. They came here already in their adult life, or maybe some of them in their last year of high school is when their family moved them here. So they don't meet that requirement for residency. So what happens is those students, instead of paying $46 a unit, end up paying around $340 per unit. Now, if you're comparing just like a 3-unit communications class, that's a difference of like $140 versus almost $1,100 for the same exact class. So you can see why for a lot of students that would be a challenge. So with our classes being non-credit, a student will pay $0 in tuition for their class, regardless of if they've been here for 1 day, 1 year, or 10 years. If a class is non-credit, it is tuition free. So all of our EMLS classes are offered non-credit. Some of the BT classes that we offer here and in the community are also non-credit. So these students are not having to worry and struggle with finances for the class. The only fee they end up having to pay is the student health fee. Now the difference with the $13 and the $21 on there is if they are attending a class here on campus, that health fee is $21. If it's off campus, so maybe they're taking a class at Fresno Central Adult School, out in Kerman, wherever we may be, if it's off campus, it's $13. So it's a reduced rate if they're not here on the main campus. Now, I want to make sure that you all know that health fee entitles them to a lot of resources that we really try to make sure these students take advantage of. They can go see the nurse on campus. If they need to get, their TB screening done, they can go and do that down there. But what I feel is always most important is letting them know you have access to psych services on campus. So if maybe you're struggling, relational stuff at home with kids, stresses of balancing work and school, whatever it may be, you have access to go see somebody here on campus and you don't have to pay additional for it. So letting students know you have that resource and it's already being covered under that health fee. So I really try to push that with our students because it is a big transition, particularly for a lot of our students when they're starting out. It's them getting their families used to, all right, mom's going to be in class 2 evenings a week now. The weight that puts on another partner at home or on older kids who are staying home with the younger ones, it throws life out of balance and it can cause a lot of stress. So we try telling students when they're picking their schedules, like, hey, make sure that this actually works. Because what we don't want you to do is to commit to a schedule and then you realize, oh, I didn't check to see, do I have somebody to watch my kids? So we really try to have them see the big picture when we're helping them, because if they ignore little pieces, it can cause disruptions, which could lead them just to drop 3 or 4 weeks into the semester. So we really try to have them think of the big picture when they are scheduling their classes. When a student takes a class non-credit, they are able to repeat the class. So maybe it's that workplace technology course. If they want to take it again, they can. Maybe they really kind of finally found their rhythm midway through the semester and they want to give it another go, they can. If they're taking a pronunciation class and they really started to find their confidence mid-semester, maybe they want to take another pronunciation class the following semester, but maybe with a different instructor, just so they can get a different experience. So when they take it non-credit, they are able to repeat the class. Because typically, if you're taking a 4-credit class, if you pass it, that's it. You can't take it. Even if you really enjoyed it and want to take it again, you can't. So taking it non-credit allows for that opportunity. So a lot of the classes that we have, especially in EMLS, are dual roster classes. So we could be all in the same classroom, but maybe these 5 students are taking the class 4 credit and the rest of the group is taking it non-credit. So we're also trying to impress upon the students, just because you're taking it non-credit does not mean you're getting a lesser value of a class, or you're getting less, you're not getting the free version of the class. It's still the same instruction. You're just getting it non-credit. Yeah. So with EMLS, we do have a wide list of offerings that are available for our students. You see that we have 4 different types of classes: reading and writing, listening and speaking, pronunciation, and then grammar. These offerings have really expanded over the last 2 or 3 years. Before, we really just used to have the intermediate level, and then it was all the way to the advanced. So there wasn't really the in-between levels in there. But the instructors really felt like, hey, there's a lot of skills in between that are needed, some beforehand. So they created the low intermediate level. And in there, you see across the top, we have 4 different levels: low intermediate, intermediate, high intermediate, advanced, and then we have our college level English. So with those, a student could choose to take whichever class they want. Now you might say, like, well, how do they know which one's the right level? We have a guided self-placement tool, which is basically, almost like a survey that they take. They do pieces of a reading and then they answer questions, and it asks them, how comfortable did you feel with what you read? And after that, it gives them a suggestion for which level they could start at. Now, these students will have the decision to say, you know what, Eric, it told me I should be at the intermediate level, but I think I want to start one level below. It's been a long time since I've been in school. They can do that. Or maybe it's the opposite and they're ready and they want to challenge themselves to take on more, but at least it gives them some guidance as to where they could start on there. So anything that you see on there that is listed with a 300 are the non-credit offerings, and if it's a 200 prefix, so like 266, those are the 4 credit offerings. So not every class has like that dual roster setup, but some of them do. Questions? Yeah. Oh, which cohorts?
There's like off-campus cohorts that are done, like whether at a high school or adult school, things like that of that nature. It sounds very much like this, so I'm not sure if it's.
So we don't have like cohorts in here. We do often, like, for example, 2 semesters ago at Fresno Adult School, we offered, see if I can do this. 2 semesters ago, we offered these 3 classes in 1 semester at Fresno Adult School. So those students were taking all those classes together. I mean, there might have been one person who only took 2 out of the 3 or different combinations. So while they were all together, it wasn't necessarily constructed as a cohort. They just all happened to enroll in the exact same classes because the schedules worked for them. The dream scenario would be that we could get like a cohort of them, so that if they all take low intermediate, they can move on to intermediate together and move into the next levels. That would be the hope. But as with adults, I mean, life changes, circumstances change. So maybe a schedule doesn't work the following semester. Maybe kids have a different dismissal time now, and it affects what's able to be offered. And our EMLS department is a small department, so it's not like we can have a ton of different offerings. So that's something that is always a challenge, much like any other department, is you'd love to offer more, but do we have the staffing to do it? And to do it, to have well enrolled classes. So I don't know, did that answer your question?
Yeah. They're different, basically.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and we are offering some of these classes, like, for example, this semester, we're going to be offering the listening and speaking low intermediate and pronunciation low intermediate at Fresno Adult School, but in the evenings this semester. In the past, they've always been in the afternoons, and this time we said, hey, there's this whole population over there that keeps asking for evening classes. So now we're kind of flipping the schedule on its head and saying, well, let's offer it in the evenings instead. So we're trying to open that door for more students, because the goal isn't to have them just stay in one class and take it over and over. We want them to grow. And if possible, we want them to transition to come to the college and continue taking classes here and not just stay at the adult school. Like, our hope is that they continue growing and move forward in their plans to continue growing academically and personally.
Yeah, for example, somebody mentioned healthcare earlier. There is a grant, another grant through the state of California, an ELL grant for students who are in adult schools and community colleges partnership for those going into healthcare. So we're starting the semester at partnering Fresno Adult School with students in the VESL course, the vocational ESL course for healthcare. They're also taking the business technology computer literacy course. Those students are concurrently enrolled in their CNA program there at Fresno Adult School, the Certified Nursing Assistant, with the goal of transitioning them. We're going to try to add the 350, transitioning them over to Fresno City into our medical assisting program, or going on into RN or one of our other health science programs. So there's specific money from the state for ELL learners to go into healthcare specifically. And so that's specific with, like Eric was saying, we want these students to move on, right? Not only learn the English language, although we're providing that service, because that maybe for some of these students, that's all they want to do, right? But we're also cognizant that a lot of these students, they want to continue their education. And so there are a lot of ELL students that want to go into healthcare. And so the state of California recognized that with the need for employment in the healthcare industry. So that's why this is happening. So this is all it's a very targeted approach in terms of what we do. And I think, Eric, you can speak to that coming up.
Yeah.
Here's some other pathway programs that we have at Fresno Adult.
Yeah, so as Lisa was saying, there are different partnerships that we're doing to try to get students at least starting to take classes with us. And part of that is, just helping them get access to the different resources we have here as well. Because if a student is taking, maybe it's a medical terminology and it's at Fresno Adult School, they can still access the tutorial services here at the campus. They don't have to go through it alone. If they need the technology support, if they need the support of the ramp pantry, whatever, they're still getting access to this whole world here at the college. But what we're doing now is offering classes that both institutions have agreed are equivalents. So this semester, for example, students who are wanting to work towards getting into the LVN program at Fresno Adult School, they can take the medical terminology and the pharmacology with us. And Fresno Adult School is accepting it as an equivalent, so that if a student takes it with us, they get credit for it over there towards their application to getting into the LVN program. So if in the future, if they were to want to continue studying here and they take a program that requires medical terminology, well, now they've already met that class. What we've encountered in the past is maybe a student took Fresno Adult School's medical terminology, and then they came over here, and it's like, well, you didn't take it from a college. So it's like, I have to do this all over again. So this is helping to at least create a little bit more efficiencies in there, so that a student doesn't have to be in that situation of having to retake a class. With our business technology, very similarly, we are having classes that are in alignment with their curriculum for their workplace technology course. So our computers in the workplace is what they call it. But when they take the class, our class, it will satisfy their technology requirement for the programs at Fresno Adult School. So this is a lot of collaboration, that's taking place, a lot of good faith that's happening between both institutions of, we want to work together. We really want to be partners. And, you know, Lisa mentioned getting that recognition at that conference. We went to a conference early last spring. It feels weird to already say last spring, but last spring we went to a conference in Oakland, and we were sharing, similar to like this presentation, sharing about the work that we're doing and how we collaborate with the adult schools and how we connect with one another. And then it was really kind of disappointing to hear people raise their hands and say, wait, you can actually get your adult schools to meet with you. Or on the other side, an adult school asking, how do you get your college to meet with us? Because we can't even get them to talk to us on our end. And it really made us feel like we're spoiled here because we have admin at both institutions that are very collaborative, that want to make sure that we can provide these really great opportunities for students. So the students here are really getting to feel those benefits of all that collaboration because these are great opportunities for them, and they're getting to take it in some cases at a very low cost or no cost at all.
Can I interject just an example of that is you can see that we have really strong pathways in either business or the health field. We're going to advance, expand on that. But the BT 377 can stand on its own, but it's also part of a digital literacy cybersecurity grant through our business department in collab with Adult Ed. In the audience right now and participating here is William Hernandez. He is a teacher at Central Adult School, but he also teaches, he's a Fresno City College instructor as well. He teaches the workplace technology course, the 377 and 379 at Central Adult School. And it's part of a larger cybersecurity grant that students can continue into that field. And that's also a partnership with Fresno State. So these are some of the things that we're doing, how we're working together, right? Which is really, really exciting. So any questions so far about anything covered?
Yeah. One thing I want to point out about all these processes, and Lisa alluded to it earlier, but every time we're doing one of these classes out in the community or outside of the campus here, we are going to the site, and you see it on the flyer. We have an application and orientation workshop. So when they come to the class or when they come to one of these sessions, we're giving them more in-depth information about what they're possibly signing up for, letting them know the expectation of, hey, these are not classes that you can come and go as you please. This is a class, I mean, you're all, you're familiar with the college environment. There's a drop deadline, there's withdrawal dates, there's all these different things. So really orienting them to, this is a commitment that you're making. And if you do drop, but there are consequences. You'll have W's on your transcript. You'll have fails potentially if you end up just disappearing. So we try to be very open with them from the beginning. And then we'll also do the campus orientation with them. So that's a process that every single student who applies through the college has to complete. They have to do an orientation. So we do a more compact version of that. And we're doing it in a presentation format. So if the students have questions, they can stop us and ask those questions right there in that moment. So they get all their questions answered. And then for those that need the assistance, we go one by one and help students complete their applications. Some students are very independent and can do it on their own. Others, you tell them, all right, click on Google Chrome, and they're like, what's click? So depending on the level of skill of the student, we'll help them. And we do every step of the way. There's been times that we're there working with a student to create a brand new email for them because they've never had an email address before. Or we're helping them recover an account because they had applied 15 years ago. So whatever it is, we're there helping them every step of the way, helping them get enrolled in the class. I go through the week before a class starts, and I send information to the students about this is how to access your student service. Sorry. What's the name of the portal? Why is it self-service? Self-service. So sorry. The self-service, we show them like a step-by-step guide for how to navigate it. showing them, even in some cases, you're going to be in this classroom on campus. And I go through and actually circle it on the map and highlight, this is where you can park on campus. Everything like that, because what I don't want to happen is if their class is at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, Thursday, and it's 8:48 and they're panicking because they can't find their classroom, and for them to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this, because they felt flustered about where to park and where to find their classroom. So we try to provide all of that ahead of time so that they can feel that much more confident when they show up on the first day. And it is a lot of work, but I think something that myself and my team of counselors, Crystal and Roxy as well, we really understand that a lot of these people are coming back to school. So when we say come back, that meant that they stopped for a reason at some point. Maybe it was they got discouraged, maybe life got busy, work took over, family obligations took over, but they came back. So we want to encourage them and support them along that way. So that's why we go through and do a lot of that extra steps for them so that they have that extra level of preparedness when they do show up to their class on the first day. So that's stuff that we do. We're going to be offering classes out in Kerman and Biola. So that means sometimes doing this assistance is calling and making calls in Spanish to some of these folks, or making calls in Hmong, or, you know, all the different languages, and making sure that they're fully understanding what they're getting into. Because we also don't ever want them to feel like, oh, it's that program that they got me to sign up for and I didn't know what I was getting into. We always want to make sure that they feel confident in what it is they're signing up for with us. So we do get a lot of support from the adult schools, but even our Adult Ed Consortium, their staff come out and help with applications. So it's a very collaborative environment in adult education, and we're just very fortunate to be able to work with the students in that, you know, with that culture of people.
Absolutely. And I can attest, you know, I've worked here for 19 years. I was an adjunct counselor at one time. And before that, I was a high school counselor for many years. But, you know, I've seen many counselors over the years, and these counselors, Eric and Roxy and Crystal, they go above and beyond. They really do. You know, like Eric says, there are times I know it's like a Saturday afternoon and he's making calls to students. It's like a, you know, Thursday evening, and he's helping a student on the phone do their application. I mean, seriously, you know, if you've ever had negative experiences with counselors here, which I've heard that, oh, those counselors, they don't know, you know, that's not this crew. And that's what these students need. So, you know, they need that assistance and that mentorship. So we're going to just, you know, we always hear about, well, how many students do you serve? I'll be quite honest, you know, data is hard to capture for the adult ed population. It's not like high school. I worked in RTG for many years. That was it ran like a fine-tooth comb, okay, where we had numbers down to a T. You know, we registered, you know, 6,000 students by, you know, the end of the year or whatever. And then we'd have all their names and all that. But adult ed, in terms of us, it's more difficult to capture. So the numbers aren't as accurate. But just for example, over the last few years since this program started, I don't have this current year, apologize, but in terms of sections, non-credit number of sections, meaning courses offered in our EMLS department, you can see that those have gone up because of the work we do. Our high-set program enrollment, now it's small but mighty, right? But back in, you know, 2021, we had 13 students, you know, starting to, you know, enroll in the course. And then at one point in that 2022-23, we had 81, and we've increased the number of sections. And in terms of general transition, you see these numbers they were up and then they were down, and now they're coming back up. So, and there's, like I said, this doesn't actually really represent, because we've got an issue on the application on CCC Apply that asks, what was the last high school you attended? Well, students at the adult schools, when they see that question, they'll put, oh, I went to Bullard High, or I went to Kerman High, or I went to something high in LA or in Mexico. Or so when we run reports on how many applied or how many, those fall through the cracks, because we run reports on who attended the adult schools. But if they put on the application that they attended Bullard High School was their last high school or their last school, we can't capture that data. So we're working on this. We have data work groups. When we go, we've done this before where when we go through our system, it says we have 568 transition and enroll in at least, 3 units or something. This is 4 credit. But then we go back through our own files and we have like close to, 800 in our own files. So there's discrepancies there. So it always pains me when people say, give me your data for adult ed. They're like, oh, you only transitioned 568. And we're like, no, there's way more than that. And then when you consider non-credit and all that, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, this gives you a little bit of an idea, at least a general idea of the numbers that we serve. And again, this isn't like every adult student that walked through the door. This is coming through our particular program. So with that being said, are there any general questions from those that are still with us in Zoom land or anyone here in the audience? All right, well, here's our contact info. Take a screenshot. If you're here, you grabbed a flyer, and we appreciate you being here on a Friday afternoon, those of you who joined us. And all right, well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Eric, any last thoughts?
No, just
good.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Great semester.
All right. Thanks, everyone.